Hi everybody, you're very welcome to Cert Economics Predictions for 2024. My name is Tony and I'm your economic expert. We'll jump straight into it. So section A is your short answer questions. This year again, you have 8 out of 10 questions that you must answer. Now I would recommend doing all 10 and be marked on your best 8. So these are short answer style questions. So clear and concise answers, no waffle. Use the C method, state, explain, and example. So you've got short spaces, as I said. Keep your writing neat and tidy, and use your state, explain, example method. So where you can, always give an example. In terms of topics that can come up, like a lot of calculation questions come up in section A. What I'm talking about there is things like be able to calculate the law of diminishing margin utility, the equimarginal principle of consumer behavior, price elasticity demand comes up quite a lot. Maybe some CPI questions, marginal revenue, marginal cost, etc. They come up quite a lot in this section. So make sure you're really, really comfortable with your calculation styles because it's easy marks. Government intervention often comes up as well. So some form of government question, something that's maybe topical like increase in minimum wage, decrease in corporation tax, vaping regulation, market failure, something like that. Also look at things like your graphs, so demand, supply, maybe minimum wage graph, your cost of production graphs, so maybe the relationship between marginal cost and average cost, or be able to explain the short run average cost curve, long run average cost curve, something along those lines. So generally shorter style answers. But again, really, really focus on those calculation questions because that's easy marks if you can do it. Section B then is your longer style. So you're looking at 4 out of 6 questions here. So you're obviously expected to write longer answers. In general, they will either tell you how many answers they're looking for. So they'll have a box with one or two points they're looking for. If they don't, so if they leave you a box and it doesn't say how many reasons they're looking for, always aim for at least 3. That's very, very important. So you could think you've answered that specifically, and sometimes the boxes are a little bit small, so you have extra space for that if you need to. And again, that's at the end of the booklet, so you can always put in extra space there once you've labelled your question clearly. Again, use that state, explain, example point. So what I say, I've roughly 5 marks per point. That's a rough guideline, but you won't be too far wrong with that. Each long question is worth 75 marks. So again, like sometimes they could be 4 marks per point. They can go up to 6, 7, 8, depending on the question. But roughly, if you're aiming for roughly 5, you have a good guide of how much they're looking for. When it comes to graphs, I have this my third bullet point here. I would use a pencil for my graphs to start off with and then go over it in pen. Remember that you're only allowed to use blue or black pen this year because they've been scanned. So when I'm saying pencil, use it first so you don't make any mistakes, or it's easy to rub out if you do, and then go over it in blue or black pen. That would be my advice for your graphs. In terms of patterns, I suppose we're looking at the things that you need to cover. You're not going to escape without demand supply equilibrium coming up on the exam. And what I would focus on would be the likes of your graphs with excess demand and excess supply or consumer surplus and how to get back to equilibrium, that you're able to explain all those. They seem to be more popular over the last couple of years. They can be sometimes a little bit trickier. So know that excess demand and what effects that has on equilibrium, excess supply, what effect that has on equilibrium, what effects that has on price, and the quantity demanded and then or supplied, and be able to explain how you get back to equilibrium. Things like, and I know it came up on the mock papers, like Taylor Swift concert, consumer surplus. That's the type of stuff is a common question recently as well. Your market structures, again, they come up every year. I would be able to draw all diagrams and know them inside out, characteristics, but a particular focus this year on oligopoly and imperfect. Again, you're probably talking about out of 75 marks, your market structures are going to be somewhere in around at least 50. with your diagram and your explanations. So make sure you're able to explain the long run equilibrium position for oligopoly, obviously, and short run and long run for imperfect. Make sure you can explain the kink demand curve in detail. So part inelastic, part elastic for oligopoly. Make sure you have the shape of the demand curve in imperfect, and how to get from short run to long run. They're important. Now, again, what I would really focus on, make sure, is that I can do all my market structures. Because if you can do all those, you're guaranteed that you're going to be able to do that question. But again, specifically, really, really focus on oligopoly and imperfect this year. Fiscal policy and government intervention, again, every year, some shape or form. Now, it's a very wide topic. There's so much you could be asked on this. But again, this is where the topical stuff comes in, like maybe current budget surplus, decrease in corporation tax, what are they doing to combat sustainability, climate change, etc. What are the government putting in play for minimum wage? Obviously, is increased. Looking at the budget in detail, what they've brought in, things like the free school books, vaping regulation this year, very, very important. Cost of production, as I've mentioned before, so the diagrams, economies and diseconomies of scale, be able to calculate marginal cost, average cost, total cost. Very important, very straightforward too once you get the hang of it. Elasticity, PED calculation, the use of elasticity, how do businesses use it, how do governments use it. National income in terms of your calculations, Keynes equation, circular flow of income, use of national income statistics, limitations of them, common as well. And international trade, comparative advantage hasn't come up in a couple of years, so I could see that coming up this year potentially. Balance of payments on the current account, capital account, financial account, that comes up quite a lot. Something students struggle with sometimes. Balance trade, balance payments, be able to calculate them. Again, a common short question or Section 8 question. Okay, so they're ones, they're big topics, but if you look through the exam papers and the patterns, you'll see they come up most years. In terms of the new course specifically, these are things that weren't on the old course that are specific to the new course, with the exception of CPI there at the bottom. All the rest of them are new, and have come up every year so far. So be prepared for them again. So be able to calculate in terms of market concentration. The HHIs come up every year in some shape or form. The 4-firm concentration ratio hasn't. So just be prepared for that to come up. Sustainability and economic development, so HDI, Cousins curve, potentially could come up this year. Something to look at. Market failures come up every year, and again, it's an easy one to pop into a question with the government. So things like externalities, asymmetric information could come up with the likes of vaping, for example, this year. The production possibility frontier, and this is something students don't generally answer well. So the whole idea of a firm can only operate at certain points. So inside the PPF, they're inefficient. On the PPF, they're efficient, and outside it, it's impossible to produce at this stage due to scarce resources. Double check those. Look over the exam questions that have come up, and again, be prepared for it again. CPI came up last year, Consumer Price Index, and how to calculate it, and it wasn't answered well by students. So it's something I could see coming up again this year. Obviously, inflation hasn't gone away, it's not going away. It's still high, so inflation is obviously still very, very topical. In terms of the topical questions, then, like, there's a myriad that you could be asked. Like, it's a wide-ranging, I suppose, idea in terms of topical. There could be so much that you could be asked. So I don't expect to cover every single one of them, but I would expect to hit some of them with these. Now, these are in detail in a document on the website. Okay, so under the economics website, if you're a part of it or signed in, it'll be under the topical section, and it'll be updated throughout and up to the exam. Anything that I think is relevant, I'm constantly always updating this document. So things like inflation, obviously the war in Ukraine and Russia, rising ECB interest rates, the effects that has on the economy, government budget surplus, what can go, like, is it positive or negative? As I said, the gambling industry and vaping, two new things that have been really talked about in the news quite a lot. So it'd be something I'd be flagging big style. implications of EU membership, the advantages and disadvantages, been topical ever since Brexit. International trade, Ireland's competitiveness, the rise in remote working, the rise in contactless payments. Are we looking at becoming a cashless society? What are the advantages and disadvantages of that? I mentioned free school books, opportunity cost maybe there, balanced regional development. Again, how can we improve it? Decrease in corporation tax, which has been very flagged, has been very topical, increase in minimum wage, and then things like sustainability, climate change, the energy crisis, etc. So these are things that are done out in detail in the booklets that are talking about, 15, 16, 17 pages of information here. So I'll have the answers done out, H1 style answers for each of these. So again, if you're looking to maybe access that package, we are offering 10% off using the tips here. You'll see it on every page. So 2024 tips, and you get 10% off a full revision package. So that is it. You get 10% off that full complete revision package, whatever you want. So like what do you actually get for that? You get video tutorial grinds on every topic. So for each topic, I have a video done out, and each expert has at least one video done out for each topic, and more obviously for certain ones. You get presentations, all the PowerPoints for each topic, H1 or distinction notes, depending on if it's Leaving Cert or Junior Cert. You get exam and mock paper questions and quizzes based on all those with marking schemes. You get a reflective log, obviously based on that as well, and smart adapted technology to guide your learning. So if there's something specifically you're struggling with that maybe you haven't, your quizzes that you're answering wrong, it'll pick that up and give you more questions based on that. In terms of the subjects available, we have 8 for junior cycle, 17 for Leaving Cert. So again, whichever one you're part of, whether you're junior cert or Leaving Cert students, that's what's available for you. And again, keep flagging this code if you haven't joined in, 10% off. Some of the student reviews are there. So again, you can see what students like the most, and it tends to be the videos. Okay, and it's something I would really push as well, especially for economics in terms of calculation style questions. So for something maybe you didn't understand in class, so for example, like the CPI, there's a step-by-step guide. So I have a step-by-step guide there on how you can calculate the CPI, and you can stop it, pause it, go over it again and again, see where you can improve your answers. And that, I think, is the biggest benefit of exam revision, would be the videos. And I think most students have seen that as well. You'll also see the quizzes. All right, it's your best way of learning, guys, is keep doing the questions. Look over a topic, practice questions, and then do the quizzes, and you'll see very quickly where you're going right or wrong. We are doing revision courses before the end of the academic year, so they are running from Saturday the 18th to the 26th of May. My one is on Saturday 25th of May, the economics one. So I will be focusing on, and again, you get all these, you're going to get the exam technique, how to answer them. I'll give you H1 notes for most of the topics. It'll be recorded, so again, you will have it that you can pause it, access it whenever you want. What I will be focusing on is all the calculation style questions. So I'll work through all those with you on the day. How to do marginal cost, average cost, total cost, revenue, all your graphs, your CPIs, your Keynes equation, your price elasticity demand. So anything calculation, I'll be focusing on that. I'll be focusing on the topical questions and walking through those, obviously in a lot more detail than I did today. So going through the pros and cons, the positives and negatives, and I'll be looking at markets as well. Okay, so we'll be taking you through all that on the 25th of May. Obviously, all the rest are going on the 18th to the 26th. So if you're thinking of any other subjects, go to the website, have a look at them, and they're available to book there. And again, don't forget that that code is there. So it's 2024 tips. Okay, other than that, guys, best of luck in the Leaving Cert Economics exam. I hope everyone achieves what they want. And as I said, hopefully I'll see a few of you guys on the 25th of May. Thanks very much, and best of luck.